Back at the shelter that I built for the survival challenge a couple months ago. Looks like I've had a buck recently come in here and visit my camp. That's iced up pretty hard in there. It just got cold last night, so I'd say that's probably yesterday. Well, early yesterday or the day before. There's not that many needles down inside the track, so fairly fresh. He came right over here. That's where my fire pit is. If you watched the earlier video, he cruised over here and checked it out and carried on. There's the old cedar shelter still holding up. I'm gonna sit out here for a few minutes, just take it in. But I thought while I was out here maybe I'd show you a little bit of the scenery and maybe a few reasons why I chose this spot. I'm on a bit of a bench up here. Got a nice little creek running down there. Good clean water. It's all coming from snow, straight out of the mountains. I'd drink that as is. Lots of firewood. I'm back here at the log where I built my shelter against. All those limbs that are covered in moss, they're pretty dry right now. Inside of them they would have been pretty good even when it was rainy here for firewood, so I had a good supply ready at hand anyways. Well, here's another reason why I chose that spot for my shelter. This is the bottom end of the log that the shelter's up against. It didn't have much of a root structure into the ground there, so wind knocked it over. My jacket's hanging up there to give you an idea of the scale of this thing. But there's all kinds of roots in there that I can pick out and use as cordage if I needed to in the construction of that stuff there. And also, that's about the only source of rocks around here that are manageable size that I could haul back to use as a fire pit. Plus, over here, we got a couple of cedar stumps that are one of the best, probably, sources of dry tinder going around here. So, this place got lots going for it. Alright, I'm going to make some moss cordage with this stuff that's hanging off the branches everywhere. Sorry if there's wind noise, it's starting to pick up. It's pretty dark out here too, so there's no guarantees on the lighting either. But the first thing I gotta do here is just collect up some of this stuff. And this is just like making any other cordage. If you haven't taken the time to learn that, I recommend that you do, because the principle's all the same. Just give it a try. Any kind of fiber you can find, you can do this, whether it's dogbane or fireweed or whatever. Okay, just get a couple of strands of it. Start with that. Just gotta, helps to wet your fingers. I'm pulling it through my fingers here as I'm twisting it, working to the end. Okay, that's good enough for starting. Then you just take it and bend it in half, one end longer than the other. Twist it. You twist it the same way you're twisting it before, and then with your middle finger grab this piece that's underneath and pull the top one towards you so that they crossed. Now, you do the same thing with the other one that's now on the top. Twist it, trade in places, pulling it towards you. Now right away here I'm going to add in some more onto the piece that's shorter. And the reason you do make one piece shorter is so that you don't end up with a big bulge and having to join in some other strands all at the same time. So here's our next piece. All you do is you lay it on there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Keep twisting it in the same direction. Everything that we do here is always twisted in the same direction. There you go. Now they're basically joined together, and once the two are laid together, it'll hold in there just fine. There'll be one. My fingers are dry. So I'll do that real slow here just to make sure you see what I'm doing. Twists away, grab the bottom one, trade in places, away, trade in places. Here's what you end up with. So I'm going to keep going on that. I'll show you what I get. Okay, I kept on going while I was watching. I rewatched the clip to make sure that I showed it well. You'd be able to see it. And in the course of just watching that clip, this is how far I got. So it can go pretty quick. It's not the strongest cordage in the world, but just for lashing and things like that, it's plenty strong, flexible, and it doesn't really dry out. And another good thing about this technique is that once you get a long piece of this, if you need a stronger cordage, you just take another piece, or actually I'll show you with this same piece, and do the same thing. And the two strands will lay together just fine, and you'll wind up with an even stronger cord. So it's worth knowing. Just a quick point of interest here. This is what's called a culturally modified tree. It's a big cedar tree, and a long time ago somebody harvested bark from this. They'd chop it off at the bottom here, the First Nations people. They'd grab a big strip of it and peel it off, and they'd use that bark for lots of things, making baskets, making clothing, all sorts of things, fibers for nets and ropes. So that's cool. It's neat to find those. To me, that's like finding an arrowhead or a stone tool or old village site or something like that.